We get out to the tree stand that night and boom, deer are everywhere.
Just because this property is a great bedding property doesn't mean you can't draw them in with a food plot of your own.
Now, I know you're not a genie, so you might not know the answer to this, but land values have seemed to be skyrocketing, right? Where do you see the future? What's it going to happen? Where do you see it going?
Well, history of real estate always kind of trends up and down, right? You go through those cycles, you're up and then you're down. Interest rates, stock market, all these things tend to balance that out. Over time, land value really never dips. I don't see any major dips where a housing market definitely can dip. So, and a lot of very, very wealthy people that have done very well in the real estate world absolutely believe that's the number one commodity to go through recessions, in bad times and good times. And I definitely am on board with that. I personally try to invest my money in land and over a stock market that can go up or down. I feel like over time, that's probably the safest thing you could invest your money in that I've seen. And a lot of people that I've worked with that have invested in 30, 40, 50 years of real estate, they've proven that.
Oh, yeah.
So
very well off. I know a lot of people in the hunting industry, when a particular state would just start skyrocketing, Illinois,
Yes.
Iowa, you name it, and they just bought and sold, and they did it a few times, and next thing you know,
Yep.
it's well past the seven figures, that
Yes.
they're into. So it's kind of interesting. It's a great philosophy. And here in Wisconsin, I can remember when our neighbor, one of them, moved in and he spent $1,000 an acre, and we thought he was nuts. And look where it is now.
Right.
Up by Tigerton, when we had Tiger Ridge, this goes back 15 to it's probably 17 years ago. Man, they were selling that for like $2,500 an acre after we got done with it, and I thought they were nuts. And now it's going for $7,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was, even if you're a long-term investment, that's a great investment long-term.
Yeah, Buffalo County, there's another prime example of getting in that 8, 10, 12 grand an acre. And I hear the stories of what they bought it for 20 years ago. It's insane. And I look at this. I like to touch my money, and by touching my money, I am out hunting, I am harvesting trees, deer, whatever. I'm putting in food plots. I like to be able to see my money use with myself or my friends coming out versus the stock market. So I'm a big fan of land and owning as much property as possible.
I would agree with you. Now, let's say one last thing. How do you choose on an agent? It's got to be a personal kind of opinion, right?
Yeah. So, I always tell people, find somebody that you're comfortable with, right? So the number one thing I've seen for mistakes for listings that I've taken over because their previous realtor didn't work out is, number one, they maybe just put a yard sign in their yard and that's all they did, right? And there's no communication. They didn't, touch base with them. Like, I'm a big proponent, even if I have nothing going on your land, I'm still going to reach out to you with whatever we establish in the beginning, once a week, twice a week, just to let you know, hey, this is what's going on. Hey, this marketing isn't seeming to pull the buyers for you, so we're going to switch to this marketing, right? And find somebody that hunts right? That the number one thing I see is you have a buyer agent that's working with somebody, or a listing agent that doesn't hunt and doesn't understand the true value of your property, or gets a buyer into a spot where they overpaid for something because they thought all land is equal, and it's not. And the same thing on the sales side. So, find somebody that you can relate to, that has a great personality, that is attentive to you, but understands what you're trying to accomplish and understands hunting.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Well, that's basically it for today. Guys, I learned a ton. I mean, real estate's going to continue to grow. I believe wholeheartedly it's one of the best investments between hunting properties and lakefront properties. I mean, that says it all right there. The housing market's going to be boom and bust with the interest rates, but I don't think you're going to see that much drop on the hunting side, because I thought it was going to happen multiple times in any other state.
It just never does.
And it never does. It never does. I can remember when one of my friends called that had 440 acres in Iowa, and he wanted me to buy it for $1,000 an acre, and I didn't have 400, that much in cash. And it sold for, I want to say almost $5,000 an acre just a little while ago. So there's my mistake in life right there. Thank you for visiting Deer Talk Now. I'm Brad Rucks. This is Jason Rickman. Hopefully we answered all your real estate needs.
When we come back, Noah is on a new property, showing us how to analyze a hunting setup left over by a previous landowner. Stick around for tips you can use when buying your next hunting land. You're watching Deer and Deer Hunting Properties. Deer and Deer Hunting Properties is brought to you by Spy Point Trail Cameras. Today we are joining Noah Rucks in the field with a unique opportunity to learn more about how to analyze previously hunted land. You can dissect a lot of useful information about how a previous hunter set up his or her hunting property. Anything from an old stand location to food plots or a good old-fashioned scouting can help you fill in missing pieces to the puzzle. All better to understand how the deer may utilize your land and harvest big bucks. Tip 1. Find the deer, study the landscape, potential travel routes, and bedding areas.
When I was walking down here, I saw some amazing trail systems that the deer already have in place. Some of these are beaten down to the mud, so I know that a lot of deer are using them, and they're coming pretty close to this blind location already. I see the blind here. I'm not sure truly why they have it right here. I'm assuming it's more of a gun spot. However, you could turn this into a bow hunting spot. For what I'm looking, I was using an Onyx. I see there's fields back off to the back left. Looks like a little island of trees here. There's a ridge up and then more bedding to the east of me. So if I wanted to turn this into a gun and bow hunting spot, the first thing I would do is probably make a new food plot over here between the blind and the island of trees. So I would make it probably a 40 by 40, and I would make sure the food plot's right on the edge of the trees here where I could make a mock scrape and hopefully target these bucks before they go out to the egg fields.
Tip 2. Trail camera sites.
When I was walking the property, I actually found in particular this tree that I would put a trail camera here. I'm about 50 to 60, 75 yards away from the blind right now. Just inside that tree line, I found a really good trail. It's actually a double trail that merges into one. If I was the owner here, I would take one of the cell cameras and put it right on this tree facing the blind, just because these two trails merge into the one. And I really think if I was looking at it right, there might be a scrape just up about 10 more feet. If I set my camera here and face it up, I should be able to get all the deer activity and see what's working that scrape.
Tip 3. Find the stand sites.
When you're looking at different types of properties, if you see these wooden tree stands, yeah, definitely don't crawl up if you aren't having a safety harness on, but they're also very good indicators of they're hunting this spot. So when you look at the spot, try and figure out what kind of wind direction he is using, what he was hunting, what types of deer, like what funnels the deer are using, and why he was hunting that spot. I'm assuming he was hunting it with a south wind. It looks like bedding's back behind us, about 100 to 200 yards away. They're coming off an egg field, going back to bedding. So it's just a transition area that I think the deer are using. We'll definitely find out when we put our trail camera out and see even if the deer are still here. But I definitely will be hanging a set close by if this was my property.
Coming up next, Noah's dad, Brad, is hunting on a property in Missouri, and the weather is not cooperating. Don't go away. You're watching Deer and Deer Hunting Properties. Deer and Deer Hunting Properties is brought to you by PH Outdoors. Brad Rucks was invited by his friend Russell to hunt his property in central Missouri. Excited to hunt big Missouri whitetails, Brad's expectations are high. What he doesn't expect are some rather wet conditions that shut down the deer movement.
Okay, so the first night we're in Missouri, we just drove down here. It snowed almost all the way. We had a nice slow walk, and it was kind of interesting to watch Russell how he uses scent thief. He sprays it in a stream all the way down here on any of the cover, so any of the deer coming down there won't be able to smell you. Of course, we scent thiefed up before we left the ATV, and we kind of slowly got in here. It looks really good. There's fresh snow on the ground. There's an open scrape right over here. Big cornfield, he said, over here, and a thick bedding area over here. We're right in that transition area. It's October 26th. Perfect time to be in a spot like this.
Honest to God, it was probably the worst weather conditions that I've ever hunted in. For 4 straight days, I think it was. It was between 27 and 33 degrees, and it was either raining, snowing, sleeting, or freezing rain. Towards the end of the week, the weather cleared. Just boom, it cleared. And deer were gonna be on their feet, and we're sitting there, and you know, I got 2 tags in my pocket. I don't care if it's a shooter buck or if it's an antlerless deer. Something is going to hit the ground. We get out to the tree stand that night and boom, deer are everywhere. And it wasn't long before I hear Buck, or hear him grunt, and he's coming out of the CRP, and you know, at that time I'm thinking, it'll probably be something small. Nope, out he pops, and it's definitely a shooter. He's 4 yards. Right. When I grunted to stop, he turns really hard at me. I practice all summer. I mean, I know I can make that shot. I know it's not a great shot for TV. You know what I mean? It's 1/4-2. You got to have the exact arrow placement. He's 43 yards away. And I was like, as I'm at full draw, I'm thinking about it. I was like, no, I deserve this deer. Right. Anchored down on him, squeezed a shot, hit him exactly where I thought it would be. He takes off running right before he entered it back into the CRP. I marked where he was. We start doing cutaways, and literally all of a sudden I look up and there's more deer piling out, and I got a doe tag in my pocket, and there's no way I'm going to let that go to waste.
Should I get an arrow in? What's that?
Deer and Deer Hunting Properties is brought to you by Orion Hunting Products, America's #1 modular deer blind.
So how do we make our land work for us, right? That's one of the big things when I looked at my personal property is, hey, can I buy a little bit more property if there's some income coming in on that property? That's important not only for my deer herd, but is there extra ag that I can rent out for cash crops or whatnot for local farmers? And so I did have that, and I was able to establish a decent amount of the acreage towards that helps pay for my taxes and a little bit of the mortgage, right? The other thing I looked for on there was, is there any other houses on the property? If there are houses, is it something that I could rent out? And I was able to find a property that had an extra house on it that was able to be rented.
Should I get an arrow in? What's that? Hey, I got 2 tags. Let's shoot it if it comes in.
Sure enough, she comes in, she actually gives us a better shot. I take the shot at the doe. It was a good shot, hit her right behind the shoulder. She runs into the grass, the CRP. We can see her standing there. We heard Russell come up.
We doubled. We just shot a doe over here too.
That's a Missouri double. In Missouri, you get a buck tag, and then you get a doe tag. We just filled our buck tag, and Russell said, if you get a chance, I'd take out a doe, do it. We just had a nice mature doe give us a 20-yard shot. Doubled up in Missouri. Man, it's been a week. Interesting hunt, for sure. I'm excited. It's been a great hunt. See if we can find blood. He should be bleeding like a fiend once we find him.
Big buck. You could probably hang another one on him. He's 11. Woo! Nice. Nice wide buck. Smoked him. Right through the front shoulder. I just found him by smell. You know.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. I can find him if I can get a whiff of him.
Oh,
Isn't he nice?
yeah, he's a beauty.
Look at that.
Oh, he's a beautiful
Yeah.
deer.
Got a kicker here, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Wow, look at the body on that deer, huh?
Yeah.
Nice, great buck. Wow, after the week
Beautiful.
we've had, Russell,
Oh, man, I'm telling
man.
you. It has just been miserable. Our first day of sunshine since you've been here.
Pretty buck, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been one thing after another.
Oh, I can't thank you enough.
Oh,
I can't believe it.
yeah.
So what's the lesson here? Be it rain, sleet, or even a mild snowstorm in October, the deer are going to weather the elements. So if you want to find success in your deer woods, you should too. See you next week on DDH Properties.